Well, hello all. I love science, but not everybody does. I taught science for 46 years, so it's just as well that I liked science. But unfortunately, many of the students that I taught didn't like science. You can tell if a person likes science by the normal method. In their spare time, do they do science? Now, I am forever doing science in my spare time, not because anyone's ordering me to do it or not because I'm paid to do it, just because I love doing it. So this morning I was checking up on 2 science experiments in my neighborhood, which I want to tell you about. Well, science always starts out with a problem. In our neighborhood, we've got a lot of alien vegetation that is killing all the fynbos, which is our native vegetation to the Western Cape. And it grows and it just forms this thick clump of trees and nothing of value is left. It's like a wasteland. It's like a green desert under this Port Jackson. So I've been trying to figure out ways to get rid of it. And the first thing that I wanted to find out is whether ringbarking these trees will kill them. Because obviously you think ringbarking is scientifically accurate, that if you ringbark a tree, surely no tree can survive ringbarking. So on the 1st of February last year, 2023, I went and ringbarked a whole forest of these Port Jackson trees. And after a few months, I came back and saw that they still seemed fine. And then I forgot about the experiment. And then I came back this morning and remembered, I wonder if they've died. So this is a year and 27 days later, I went and checked up and look at the result. So I started with a hypothesis that ringbarking would kill it. My aim was to make an easier way to clear alien vegetation. Instead of chopping it down, which requires a lot of muscle and time, let's just kill the trees on the spot, and then they can form shade and occupy space for the native fynbos to come back in. So that was my method, was to ringbark, and my results we're about to look at. So this is a Port Jackson tree which I ringbarked some while ago, and just have a look at it, completely and utterly dead. So ringbarking worked. So you can't just ringbark one tree. For science, you've got to do a lot of trees. Look at that, ringbarked some time back. I'll have to check when. Completely and utterly dead. Now, if there are our ringbark trees, right next to it is a tree I didn't ringbark. Port Jackson, it's perfectly fine. So you could call experiment, control. Trees are more or less the same age. This one's doing fine. It wasn't ringbarked. You can see this tree's been ringbarked here. Stone dead. There's the ringbarking of this tree in that area. Also stone dead. So I'm beginning to see with 100% certainty ringbarking kills these trees eventually. So the conclusion that I draw is that ringbarking is a very energy efficient way of dealing with these alien Port Jackson trees. It takes a small amount of energy, and I wouldn't have been able to cut down those big trees that I showed you being ringbarked, or it would have been very difficult without a chainsaw. Then I performed a second experiment, which was to cut down these Port Jacksons. Normally we drag them into a pile. And I wanted to see how much weight they lose over a period of 3 days. So this last Sunday, I cut down the trees, placed each tree on a bathroom scale, weighed them individually. I did this for 13 trees. And then the following day, I weighed them. And then after 72 hours from cutting them down, I weighed them again. And they had lost, in that 72 hours, 1/3 of their mass. After 1 day, they'd lost 20% of their mass, but after 72 hours, they'd lost a third of their mass. I don't think they will, which is obviously water, I don't think they will decrease in weight too much from now on because they look pretty dry. So maybe they'll lose another 10% over the weeks ahead. So we normally have to drag these heavy, wet trees. So how much easier it is to just let them dry out for 3 days and then they lose a third of their weight. So you using a third less energy to drag them into piles. So isn't science just too wonderful? We have two very practical solutions to a common problem, which is getting rid of these alien trees. Rather, don't cut the big ones down, just ring bark them. And the smaller ones, when you cut them down, you can let them dry for a few days before you drag them far out to the back of the fire break, as far away from the houses as possible. And then, science is all about finding solutions to problems. I was thinking if we process these trees, which means turn them into firewood, the bigger parts, and then drag the smaller branches just to the end of the fire break, then we'll be able to get people interested who will take the firewood away for nothing. So we just have to chop it or saw it up with I prefer a circular cut-off saw. Boy, they just plows through branches and cuts them into little sticks. Wonderful. And there's another solution to our problem. So science is about finding solutions to problems. Now, what is wrong with the South African school system is South Africa is full of problems, but the science in our syllabus is not addressing the problems we have, not in the least. It's got nothing to do with the everyday life of the average South African citizen, and that is such a terrible shame. The South African syllabus is irrelevant to the lives even of the scientists in this country. So science should be a wonderful, every day there's a use for science. I mean, yesterday I was building a lovely little circuit, which I posted on YouTube, where you tap out a beat and this thing plays my LEDs back and forward to the beat. I just love science. I just love that little invention. And I'd love to go through the school syllabus with you and show you how relevant every single section is, and then suggest more relevant alternatives to it. So here is a video of me weighing the cut trees after a few days, and then I will post on a spreadsheet how their weights had diminished over a period of 24 hours and then 72 hours. Well, today we are back to weighing these trees. We want to find out how much weight they've lost over the period of time in the last 72 hours. So let's start with tree number 1, which weighed originally, it's written on here, 23 pounds. Just look at the tree, it looks a lot drier. Now it weighs 16 pounds. So it's gone down to 16 pounds. I'm going to turn the scale so I can see it in the sun. $16. So here was a spreadsheet of felled tree mass reduction over a week. We had trees 1 to 13. Tree 1 was 23 pounds, tree 2 23 pounds. The total of all 13 trees 283 pounds. After 24 hours, their masses or weights had reduced to that, making them 81% of the original weight. And then after 72 hours, look, 16 compared to 23, 15 compared to 23, 10 compared to 16, total mass 186 pounds, or 65% of the original total mass, which was 283 pounds.